G7 summit opens. President Maithripala extended a warm welcome in Japan. Former senior DIG Lanka further remanded until the 9th of June. Vegetable prices on the rise. Migrant boat overturns off the coast of Libya.
Good evening, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. This is Primetime News. I'm Sonali Wanikabapage.
And I'm Ramesh Bandara. As always, let's start off with your local news.
President Maithripala arrived this morning in Nagoya in southern Japan.
The president was received at the airport by Japanese Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Yoji Muto, Governor of Aichi Prefecture Hideaki Umura, and Ambassador Dhammika Ganganath Dissanayake. A traditional Sri Lankan welcome was accorded to the president at the hotel, which is hosting the Sri Lankan president. President Sirisena is scheduled to meet Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen head of Japan External Trade Organization Hiroyuki Ishige, and Onimichi Dockyard President Takashi Nakabe this afternoon. A communique issued by the Presidential Media Division says that bilateral talks aimed at obtaining a number of economic benefits to the country will be held on the sidelines of the G7 summit.
The Newsfirst International Desk will have a detailed report on the G7 summit later on in the bulletin.
Former senior DIG Lanka, who was arrested over the death of late rugby player Wasim Tajuddin, was further remanded until the 9th of June.
When the case was taken up before Colombo Additional Magistrate Nishantha Piris today, former senior DIG Lanka and former OIC of the Narahenpita Police Crimes Division Sumit Pereira, who were remanded of their alleged role in the concealing of evidence over the killing of rugby player Wasim Tajuddin, were produced in court. The attorney at law appearing on behalf of the suspects informed court that there are attempts to unnecessarily remand suspects and to record whatever statements that officials desire. Responding to the request made to grant bail to the suspects, Colombo Additional Magistrate Nishantha Piris stated that the court does not make orders to suit the whims of any party and that orders are made in line with the provisions of criminal law. Senior State Counsel Dilan Ratnayake stated that evidence has confirmed that the death of Wasim Tajuddin was in fact a homicide. He further stated that investigations thus far have revealed that this had been a premeditated act and it was possible that charges of conspiracy to commit murder may be brought against the suspects. The attorney at law, appearing on behalf of the former Narahenpita Crimes OIC, informed court that his client wished to make a statement before court.
He had carried out his duties to the letter. Later, he was unable to do so because of the instruction from his superiors. Thereby, court informed him to make a statement once again during the next court date and ensure his statement is independent and in line with his conscience. Bail was denied.
The suspects were further remanded until the 9th of next month.
Sri Lanka's tri-forces have decided to shun the Chief Minister of the Eastern Province, Nazir Ahmed, from entering any camps. In addition, the armed forces have also decided to boycott all events attended by the Chief Minister of the Eastern Province.
Just get out. You don't know what the protocol is, just get out from it. You have no right to stop me. Who the hell are you to stop me? Yes, no, even you governor, you don't know the protocol. You say, I respect the excellency, the president, of course, much more than you. There is a protocol in this province, and you should know about it. You should know the protocol. You see, I as the chief minister, just get out for it.
On Tuesday, Chief Minister of the Eastern Province verbally assaulted its senior-ranked naval officer at an event in a school in Sampur in the presence of the governor of the province as well as US Ambassador to Sri Lanka. The report, which was handed over to the Secretary of Defence by the Navy Commander yesterday, has been handed over to the President. Speaking to Newsfirst, Navy spokesperson Captain Akram Alivi said that the Chief Minister will not be allowed to enter any military camps. He added that the Tri-Forces will not participate in any functions attended by the Chief Minister. The incident was raised at many fora today as well.
This is relating to the Chief Minister of the Eastern Province. This does not relate to me. This is relating to 3 armed forces that are under the President. When a complaint is made, he will take a decision. The statement made by a politician in public cannot be accepted. If he had an issue, he could have addressed it in a separate place. If there is an issue over the actions and behavior of the officer, that needs to be reported to his superiors. That is protocol. Slander in the presence of media and public cannot be condoned. We condemn this. During the conflict, the Sri Lanka Navy carried out an insurmountable task to bring freedom to the people in the Eastern Province. The Chief Minister can now act in this manner because of the actions of the Navy. Actually, the Chief Minister must accord a salute to the Navy officer. The power of the Chief Minister is of the votes of the United National Party and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. If action is not taken against him, the Prime Minister and the President have approved his behavior. His leader is Hakim. Hakim must also take action against him from within the party.
The Department of Meteorology forecast showers across many areas today as well. Duty meteorologist Janaka Kumar said that thunder showers will occur in many parts of the Uva and eastern provinces.
Newsfirst toured several areas that were flooded over the past week after the Kalani River broke its bank.
Look inside my house. There is nothing. I don't think we can build our lives by engaging in our professions.
The Grama Seva officer came here for a census. No one else came here to look into what has happened. The Presidential Task Force has also joined in the efforts to salvage belongings and to clean the houses in Maithripala, Kolonnava and other areas.
Today we are here to look into whether these areas have returned to its normal state. We witnessed the manner in which the locals and the civil defence force were engaged in the cleaning up of houses.
Footage captured on a mobile phone shows water gushing down the Maithripala garbage dump during the recent heavy downpour.
I captured footage from the top. When the water was gushing down from the garbage dump, there was some kind of a steam that was emitting. This needs to be showed so that a solution can be sought. We are living in close proximity to this. The water gushes down and spreads to all the surrounding areas. You cannot enter any house because of the stench.
The Kalukudava, Nidakampala, Pahuruvila villages in Dompe Kampaha were also battered by floods. Many crops in these areas were also destroyed.
I lived off the income generated from this plantation. The damage caused to it is immense. I don't have any savings to build up my cultivation. People must come and see what has happened here.
What
you see here is not a swamp, it is a manioc plantation. As a result of the floods, the livelihood of many in this village, which is agriculture, was destroyed. They say that some kind of assistance should be provided for them to rebuild their lives.
What was the impact of the inclement weather that the country experienced over the past few days in comparison to the inclement weather conditions that we faced in earlier years? Shahin Jurampati is standing by at the Newsfirst Weather Centre with the details.
Well, thank you very much, Ramesh. Well, welcome to the Newsfirst Weather Centre. I am Shahin Jurampati. Well, flood situations directly impact the Western Province when several rivers, including the Kalani River and its canals, overflow. Now, the Western Province, which includes the Colombo, Gampaha and Kalutara districts, have a long history when it comes to floods. Several of those who were affected by the floods this time around always speak about the floods which devastated the country back in 1989. Now, to look at the statistics and data of the floods which affected the country in 1989, a total of 4 lives were claimed in the floods that year, while 145,000 people were affected. Now, in terms of housing, 18 houses were destroyed, while a total of 32 were damaged. Now, just over a decade later, in 2005, floods hit the country again, claiming the lives of 8 people and leaving 112,266 people affected, while 416 houses were destroyed, 1,360 homes were left damaged. Now, in 2010, floods hit the country again. Now, this time around, there seems to be a rise in the casualties. If you take a look at the number of deaths reported that year in the floods in the Western Province, 35 lives were claimed by floods, while 448,891 people were affected in total. In terms of housing, 261 houses were destroyed, while a total of 1,780 homes were left damaged. Now, in the year 2016, so far, inclusive of the recent floods which affected the country, 14 deaths were reported in the Western Province, while 1 life is yet to be accounted for. In terms of housing, 72 houses were destroyed, while a total of 660 homes were left damaged. Now, in terms of the number of families affected, that number stands at 42,379, while a staggering 170,629 people were left affected by the inclement weather this year. Now, what's appalling here is the fact that 1989 received a higher rainfall in comparison to what was received in 2016, but with lesser casualties and damage. So what were the causes for more damage and more human casualties to be caused this year? Well, there are several causes. One is the fact that residents have been constructed in mangroves and filling up of mangroves to reclaim land to construct houses, while population density in these areas have increased drastically. And finally, the blockage of waterways. If you take a look at the floods in 1989 and 2016, the floods that were collected in 1989 receded in a matter of 2 days, while here in 2016, the floods took nearly a week for it to recede. Well, that has been the News First Weather Center here on News First. I am Shuns. Let's now take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
The National Building Research Organisation says landslide warnings issued for 5 districts is still in effect. Head of the Landslide Research and Risk Management Division of the NBRO, RMS Bandara, says the warning was issued for the 24 hours starting from 2 p.m. today. Bandara noted that Kegal district faces the highest risk. Details of other landslide-prone areas were also reported today.
281 individuals from 74 families that lived in 64 line houses in the 4th Mile Post area in Hantana Kandy have taken refuge at a local school. This is the manner in which the roads and the walls of houses in the area have cracked. These locals say that following the 2011 landslide warning, they sought refuge at this very school and were forced to return to their homes after the rain stopped. They state that even though they were provided with lands in the Kitulmul area about 10 kilometers away, that area too now faces the risk of landslides.
The landslides which were provided are also beginning to experience landslides. So we request an alternative solution for the people here.
When the
sun is up, we go home. The moment a landslide warning is issued, we are relocated to a school.
30 families from several villages at the foot of the Narangala mountain in Ahaliyagoda have taken refuge in a local school as well due to the risk of landslides. Our correspondent reported that there were cracks in the radius of 2 kilometers surrounding the mountain range. Thereby, the villages Napavala, Murutangala, Deyangala and Udavaka and other areas are at risk.
බටහිර පැත්තෙන් පිහිටලා තියෙන කලටුවාවේ වැව.
The Karatuawe Lake is connected to the west of the mountain. Because of the Karatuawe Lake, the entire area has been transformed into a reserve. But due to the mass construction of houses in the village on the other side of this mountain, the forest along this mountain is destroyed. These are the causes which completely wipe out entire tea estates.
Army media spokesperson Brigadier Jaina Jayavira stated that the operations to locate those who went missing in the Aranayaka landslide are still being carried out. He added that limbs and body parts are discovered today as well. The Army media spokesperson added that 27 bodies and 21 limbs had been recovered so far and that 21 out of the 27 have been identified.
Welcome back to the news. On to our developing story tonight. The Secretary of the Ministry of Public Administration, J. Dadallage, says that the letter indication that indictments have been filed against Anusha Palpita, the additional Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, has been received. He notes that the Public Service Commission will be informed of this tomorrow. He adds that it is only the Public Service Commission that can suspend Anusha Palpita or take any other action against him.
Indictments have been filed against Anusha Palpita at the Colombo High Court over misappropriating funds for the distribution of silk cloth during the previous administration. The case was taken up yesterday and evidence pertaining to the case is being recorded. Yesterday, CAFE, or the Campaign for Free and Fair Elections, charged that even though the Presidential Secretary, who is the head of the TRC, the previous employer of Palpita, has been informed of the filing of the indictments, he had not directed it to the attention of the Secretary of Public Administration. CAFE goes on to say that the Secretary of Public Administration is unable to take action on Anusha Palpita and this is a planned conspiracy. Speaking to News First, Secretary of the Ministry of Public Administration J. Dadallage said that the ministry is yet to receive letters pertaining to other public servants against whom indictments have been filed. Dadallage also goes on to know that as Anusha Palpita was obtaining a wage without being included into the ministry contingent and in order to fill a vacancy, he was appointed to the post of Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Home Affairs. However, he added that the letter notifying that indictments have been filed against Anusha Palpita has been received. I saw this published in the newspapers and I have called for immediate information on the matter. We are acting on this. However, it is the Public Service Commission that can take action on employees in the public administration service. We will submit our observations to the Commission. If a public servant is found to have committed fraud or engaged in corruption, he will be suspended. What is most disgraceful is that when indictments have been filed against him and when he appears in court, the letter on the matter must be sent to the Ministry of Public Administration. Based on the findings, the Public Service Commission must suspend his services. This brings to mind an old saying, you cannot sleep on the mattress with leeches on it. Persons connected to various malpractices and corruption during the recent presidential elections are facing charges and those persons are banding in groups. It is clear that they are working carefully to protect those engaged in monetary crimes. This is not taking place as per the appeal of someone. This illegal appointment is the doing of Minister Vajira Abeyewardena. A person accused of the avant-garde arms deal was placed in that position before. Who appointed that individual against whom there are charges filed? The Minister of Home Affairs, it was in the same position. Finally, that person is now abroad and untraceable after fooling the minister and the government. This is a serious piece of evidence in the avant-garde matter. Secondly, Anusha Palpita, who also faces similar accusations, is being placed in their position. This is done to save him from the accusations and pave the way for him to go scot-free. Minister Vajira Abeyewardena is creating the way for the Brigade of the Friends.
Anusha Palpita, who has indictments against him at the High Court, is being appointed as an additional secretary. The Ministry of Home Affairs.
The media is saying this. If you can look at the appointment for me, it will be great. During the time of the natural disaster, the support of the public servants was mandatory. If this person is a public servant and is being paid, he is government according to the Establishment Code. The appointment is made by the Public Service Commission. I have not seen any such appointment. According to the Constitution and the Establishment Code, the Military Ordinance and the Police Ordinance, if anyone is accused of wrong, that person is not guilty until he is found guilty by courts.
Who made the appointment? What about Damayanti, who is being investigated?
When any public servant is free, they come to that building. I am also based in that building.
A letter is being addressed to the Minister of Finance to release the funds of a contractor from Maithripala. The reason cited is that he assisted in the May Day rally of the United National Party.
I do not know that. Various persons come to see me. The ministry has a responsibility to make payments for the development activities that took place under the previous government. When the presentations are made, I will act accordingly. I am not aware of what you mentioned, and neither is Paskara Lingam. There is something mentioned in the newspapers. I have not seen any letter. If there is a letter, please show it to me.
You are also accused with regard to the avant-garde matter.
It does not matter to me. The media needs to act with respect.
Is the media wrong, Minister?
Although Minister Vajra Abeyewardena challenged the media, a citizen of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka has sent us the letter which is said to have been sent by the ministry to an advisor to the Prime Minister. We request the President and the Prime Minister to take action against such ministers who hinder the process of good governance. These ministers are associating persons who have been subject to many accusations surrounding fraud and corruption. If this is brought to light, they must prove their innocence. They must resign from their positions.
Speaking at a media briefing today, Dr. Vikrama Bahukarnaratne commented on the behavior of politicians during the recent disaster situation.
The media, together with the village leaders, continuously worked in a tireless manner during this disaster situation. There was no need for politicians to work. By the time the politicians arrived, the job was already done. So they just came and took pictures. However, the democratic force to prepare the people with regard to the flood and disaster situations went ahead.
Following the torrential rainfall experienced in the recent weeks, the price of vegetables has increased. A wholesale price of a kilogram of beans, leeks, carrots and other major vegetables were priced between 170 rupees and 280 rupees. Taking this situation into account, the retail prices of these vegetables have topped 300 rupees per kilogram.
This was the situation at the Manning Market in Colombo this morning. The Manning Market traders say that the supply of vegetables to the market has reduced.
The price of almost all the vegetables have increased. The reason is the inclement weather that prevailed over the past week and the destruction of the cultivations. This has resulted in a low supply of vegetables to the market. The price of a kilogram of beans is 280 rupees. Carrot is 170 rupees. Leeks is 170 rupees. Cabbage is 100 rupees. The price of tomatoes have reduced because of the increased supply of tomatoes. The price is between 120 rupees and 130 rupees per kilogram. A kilogram of beans is sold at 280 rupees. The prices of all vegetables have increased.
Traders note that it may take several weeks for the prices to drop to the usual rate.
After Kerala was flooded, there wasn't enough business. There is a drastic drop in trading this time around. The heavy rains destroyed many vegetables. That is why the price of vegetables have reached a high. This will be the situation for the coming weeks. The prices increase by noon every day. Many vegetables are spoilt because of the floods. We will sell the good vegetables for the higher price.
When the prices are announced, we walk away. We live with the greatest difficulty. Traders also point out that some of the farmers have directed their vegetables to the markets even before the cultivations have ripened. This was the situation at the Tambula Economic Centre. Consumers have been gravely affected by this situation. The prices are very high. The people cannot survive like this, and there are no goods to buy. Such a situation has arisen because of the destroyed cultivations during the recent inclement weather. Newsfirst looked into such areas in Marasala, Hanguranget and Rikilakaskade.
We are engaged in farming after obtaining bank loans. Many of the cultivations have been destroyed. We were battered by the heavy rains. We have not been approached by any responsible official. We have to bear up the losses and live amidst these difficulties. The droughts affected on one hand, and then came the floods. All the crops were destroyed. It is with the greatest difficulty that we are living today.
We are affected by the floods. We have brought many seeds through loans. We cannot even repay our loans. We live amidst the greatest difficulty.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. If you want to read up on any of the stories that we aired tonight, simply log on to www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First team, I'm Ramesh Bandara.
I'm Sonali Manikapatake. Good night.